Welcome back to another episode of Man Cinema Reviews. It is your lovely host, Peter Mann. What's up, y'all? And today I got my top 20 films of 2024. A great year for cinema. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and take care of some business. That is to press like, subscribe, and be sure to hit the notification bell as well to notify you of any and all reviews to this channel. Now, I did have some honorable mentions that I would like to share with you. I have Blink Twice, Heretic, Conclave, First Omen. Yeah, a lot of films that deal with religion this year. You'll see Cuckoo, Baby Girl, Abigail, Monkey Man, Furiosa, Deadpool, and Wolverine to round that out. Wish I could have a top 30, but these are the films that didn't quite crack the top 20. Let's go with the first entry at number 20 is The Book of Clarence. Jason Samuel retells the Bible and includes the titular character Clarence, the twin brother of the prophet Thomas, who wants to branch out on his own as a new Messiah with his band of brothers. I know it's taboo to touch the Bible, but this is a retelling that brings back 70s blaxploitation and films of yesteryear like Spartacus, Ben-Hur, just that classic scope of the golden era of cinema. And it's just too bad that this film poorly underperformed, was made for a 40 mil budget and barely made 6 mil, and that's why I have to just show this film a lot of love, because it's courageous to do a retelling of the Bible, and it pulled at my heartstrings at the final act. And if you know, you know, check out The Book of Clarence. It's currently on Netflix, and it was a courageous, bold retelling of the Bible, and it does so with gusto. Number 19 is Juror Number 2. This is Clint Eastwood. He has had a lifelong career at Warner Brothers, and I just think that they dropped the ball on this completely. I think that the cast and crew tell a great story, a classic courtroom procedural, if you will, and I just think that it went unnoticed, and it's currently on Max if you want to check it out, and I implore you to. I think at the tender age of 93, this very well could be the last Clint Eastwood film in his lifetime that he directs, and he goes out gracefully. Number 18, Saturday Night. Jason Reitman did not come back to do Ghostbusters, and I could see that he had a bigger and more important task to tell the first ever production of Saturday Night Live. I think the whole cast and crew are phenomenal, playing their comedic behemoths. All the actors really get into character to play historic figures in comedy. And if you are a fan of comedy, this is a piece of comedic history that must be seen. I know that it also underperformed at the box office, and it's a shame because it was very fast-paced, very eclectic, very frenetic, and definitely kept your attention from start to finish. And it's going to be on Netflix fairly soon. At number 17, Kinds of Kindness. You know I had to add Yorgos Lanthimos in this list. He did a great thing in Poor Things, and it just goes to show that he had carte blanche to do the hell he wanted to in Kinds of Kindness. I'm just surprised that this hits American theaters. Definitely did not sit well with American audiences, and you'll see why once you see it. It's a anthology film, great cast: Margaret Qualley, Willem Dafoe, Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, just a revolving cast and crew telling 3 way different stories, and just in your face. I am just surprised that you can currently watch this on Disney Plus, of all places to watch it. You can also watch it on Hulu as well. Kinds of Kindness is at number 17. Number 16, Queer. Luca Guadagnino makes 2 entries in my top 20, but this was more of his diamond in the rough. This is a adaptation of William S. Burroughs' controversial novel, Queer. Daniel Craig has been electric as he is in this film. I thought that this was a courageous piece of cinema. Definitely style over substance. However, I think that thematically it tells an important story set in the 50s about queer men being in the closet, in the fringe, and it's set in Mexico. And it just goes into all wild places and definitely goes off the deep end in its third act. But I commend Luca Guadagnino, and I know it has modern songs by Nirvana, which kind of threw me off, but things are there for a reason, and Luca Guadagnino tells a courageous story in Queer. Number 15, Wicked was a crowd pleaser. John M. Chu brings the hit Broadway production to the big screen and does so with an just eclectic cast. If you are familiar with The Wizard of Oz, this is a prequel, and I think that it is bold and it is colorful and it's phenomenal. Definitely have to check out Wicked if you want to see Wicked Part 2. Number 14, TheWildRobot. There's at least 3 animated features, and this is the first on my list. TheWildRobot is directed by Chris Sanders, who is of Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon fame. Wasn't really quite familiar with this until my son was very much looking forward to it because he is familiar with the novels in which they are the basis of this film. Very family friendly, very endearing. TheWildRobot will tear at your heartstrings. Going on to number 13, Oddity. It's an all Irish production. Tells a traditional ghost story, but does it in a way that breathes new life in telling of a ghost story. We don't get films like this of yesteryear quite often. Reminded me of The Sixth Sense, Stir of Echoes, but it tells its own brand in its Irish voice and does so with gusto. Very creepy, very haunting. Is currently streaming on Shudder and AMC if you want to go check it out, which I implore you to do so. Oddity was great. Number 12, Inside Out 2. Inside Out 2 continues its trajectory. The first Inside Out stays with me because it was the first film that I showed my son when he was a baby, and he hasn't been the same since because he's my partner in crime in this movie review world. And it's great that the sequel comes out because now I can show my daughter and carry on the tradition of loving cinema and what I'm going to school for. I think this tells a creative way of the human emotions and the interior of the human. A humanistic story, coming of age story. We are not done with Riley and her family, and it's a great sequel. I think that Kelsey Mann was done a great job in his directorial debut. Go watch Inside Out 2. Almost at my top 10, and this one was nearly at number 10, but it got knocked off ever quite slightly with its 10th entry. But at number 11, StrangeDarling, JT Molnar and crew. Hell, I didn't know Giovanni Ribisi was a cinematographer, but he does his thing behind the camera. Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner work well off each other, tell this very pulpy thriller / horror film, and it does it at a sequence. It's like if Quentin Tarantino did another Grindhouse Death Proof, but did it in a way that he did Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. If you know, you know. Go watch StrangeDarling to see what I'm talking about. At number 10, The Substance. Demi Moore is getting her flowers with her Golden Globe win. Margaret Qualley playing a younger version This is body horror. This gives it up to David Cronenberg. It's sci-fi, it's horror, it's whatever it wants to be. The substance, it just blows you away. Definitely has a Kubrickian voice as well, a la The Shining. If you know, you know. Go watch The Substance to be floored, to have your jaw drop to the floor. The Substance is definitely something to behold. At number 10. Number 9, Piece by Piece, an animated film. Morgan Neville did his thing with Won't You Be My Neighbor, and he is now in charge of this documentary retelling the life and times of Pharrell Williams. This was a definite passion project for Pharrell, using Legos, bringing all his collaborators together. If you are a fan of just not just hip-hop, because Pharrell Williams transcends hip-hop. It's pop, it's rock, it's just music, man, and it's phenomenal. Piece by Piece was great. If you are a fan of Pharrell Williams, you will definitely like Piece by Piece, if not Love, which I do. Number 8, Thelma. I just think that the cast and crew does great to tell this indie story. I lost my grandmother a couple years ago, and I still think about her every day after her passing. And this tells the story of a grandmother who gets taken advantage of, her life savings in a phone scam, and she is on the road to get revenge. And this was a great story to tell. It pulls at your heartstrings, but it's definitely lighthearted, and a win for all resilient grandmas out there. Thelma was a great film. Number 7, Civil War. Alex Garland tells a poignant story. The whole cast and crew, we need this film. Yeah, we'll see how the next 4 years go, but this film is a political film, really without a political voice. You can take what you will from it, and that's just the craft of Alex Garland. And he's got another film called Warfare, which follows up this film, I assume, coming this year. Going into number 6, Anora, Sean Baker. What can I say? This guy tells real life better than any filmmaker today. Gives you a piece of the underbelly of the nightlife of exotic dancers. This tells the story of a resilient stripper. Mikey Madsen is a phenom in this. I know she has a lot of competition because there's a lot of great actresses up for Best Actor, and I think that she is courageous in the role of Anora. It's a lot more funnier than I thought it was going to be, but it definitely deals with the melancholy, like I said, the underbelly of society, but does it in a way that humanizes this character and adds a lot more depth than I truly thought. Going on to my top 5. Wow. Luca Guadagnino's Challengers is at number 5. And Zendaya, Josh O'Connor, the whole cast and crew is phenomenal. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross really flex their electronic, eclectic sound, and does so in marriage with Luca Guadagnino's phenomenal storytelling. It's great that Luca Guadagnino, who's not even a fan of tennis, can really breathe new life into a tennis match, and does so with grace, almost operatic, if you will. Definitely minted in my top 5 at number 5, Challengers. Number 4, Osgood Perkins is a Madman, because Longlegs I enjoyed. I know people had problems with it. I don't know if they didn't think it was as scary as advertised to be. Forget that mess. I was floored. I was glued from first act, second act, and third. The whole cast and crew, including Nicolas Cage, does a phenomenal job telling a harrowing story a la Seven, definitely a la A Silence of the Lambs. You have to watch Osgood Perkins' Longlegs, and I can't wait to see The Monkey this year. You did a good job. Your father would be proud. Going on to number 3, was number 1 for a long time. Dune Part 2, Denis Villeneuve. What more can I say? I was in for the first Dune, but Dune Part 2 definitely steps it up. I think that this tells a more richer story. I think that the characters really come to full fruition in this second part. I think Dune Part 2 is phenomenal. Low-key, I think will get overshadowed by other films this year, even though it was a huge splash at the beginning of the year. I really think that hopefully, technically, it can have all the awards this year. But yeah, Dune Part 2 is amazing. Number 1 for a long time, but these next 2 films really take the cake. And this was at number 2 until I saw a film recently. There's a couple films I haven't seen. Nickel Boy's The Brutalist, Almodovar's new film. But yeah, number 1 minted it. And, number 2, it's great. Still, Nosferatu, Robert Eggers. I think this is your best film so far. Even inches out The Witch just ever so slightly. I'm not saying it's scarier than The Witch, because I think The Witch is probably scarier, but it tells a much richer gothic romance. This is your grand opus. This is your film. This is the film that you were born to tell. Nosferatu, the whole cast and crew does their thing. Astounding, phenomenal, a triumph, and was definitely one that I couldn't wait to watch. Christmas Eve. Couldn't wait for Christmas Day. Had to watch it Christmas Eve. Number 1, I have to say Jesse Eisenberg really does his thing in this directorial effort. A real pain. If you know me, my number 1 film every year really goes at my heartstrings, pulls at my heartstrings, and doesn't let go. This definitely does it for me. Mismatched cousins going to Poland on a tour, as well as wanting to visit their grandmother's home because she recently passed. Her passing really affects them, especially Kieran Culkin's character. Jesse Eisenberg does a phenomenal job behind and in front, but Kieran Culkin really steals the show. These two are phenomenal together. Jesse Eisenberg really brings something out of Kieran Culkin, and I would be remiss to say if he does not get nominated, it's a travesty, because this is the best thing Kieran Culkin has done thus far. Because of what I'm going to school thematically, this hits home to me. I'm taking a couple courses that definitely will get me ready to rewatch this film and get a different perspective. But A Real Pain is number 1 because it just hits home, it hits the heartstrings, and it just threw me for a loop. Definitely made me weep like a little baby. I know, like I said, there's a couple films that I haven't seen, but this is the gist of 2024. Another great year. Be on the lookout for my top 10 disappointing films and more reviews. Hopefully, I am a busy guy going back to school, but I always make time for films. This is Man Cinema Reviews. We'll see you on the next one. I'm out.